All right, your homework for today is to complete this packet. We are solving systems of equations using elimination. There are a couple steps to follow. The first one, I'm going to number them, is to make sure both equations are in standard form. And if you remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. Your x's come first, followed by your y's, equaling your constant or your numbers. In using the elimination method, the next step would be to add the two equations. When you add the two equations, one variable should cancel out. And this is where the word elimination comes from. One variable is eliminated. So let's take a look at the first equation. If you look at x plus 5y equals 9 and 4x minus 5y equals negative 14, and you add them together, x plus 4x is 5x. Positive 5y minus 5y, that cancels out. It's eliminated. Okay? This is, again, where the term comes from. And 9 plus negative 14 is negative 5. Okay? The next thing you're going to do is solve for the remaining variable. So when we solve for x, we have x equals negative 1. We're going to go ahead, once we have that, x equals negative 1, and we're going to substitute it back into, I'm looking at the final step, substitute that value into either equation to find the value of the eliminated variable. So we have x equals negative 1. We need to now find y. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it back into the first equation. It does not matter which equation you plug it into. Adding 1 to both sides, I have 5y equals 10, y equals 2. So my solution to this system is negative 1, comma 2. And again, how you would check it, you would take negative 1, comma 2 and substitute it back into both equations. Make sure you do both to make sure that it works for both. Let's move on to example 2. In example 2, if you look at it, 3x minus 4y equals 2, and 3x plus 2y equals 26. If you add these equations together, and a variable is not going to be eliminated. However, you can see that you have a 3x here and a 3x here. If one of these 3x's was negative, they would be eliminated. So mathematically, you're going to create an equation so they are eliminated. And how we do that is multiplying one of the equations by negative 1. That goes up to step 3 right here. You won't have to do this in every equation, but if necessary, multiply one equation by negative 1 to create a pair of opposites that will cancel out one variable. When you're doing this, you have to multiply the entire equation by negative 1. Actually, I think I'm going to multiply the first equation by negative 1. So I'm going to just take out. It doesn't matter which one you multiply by negative 1. What you do need to remember, though, is every term is going to get multiplied by negative 1. You're doing the distributive property. You're just creating an equivalent equation. So negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 4y is positive 4y, and negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. The second equation stays the same. 3x plus 2y equals 26. And now we're going to add them. Now our x's are going to cancel out and they're going to be eliminated. And we're left with 6y equals 24. And we can go ahead and solve for y equals 4. Now that we know what y is, we know that we have one part of our solution. That's our 4. And we're going to substitute it back into either equation. And I always substitute it back into the original. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to substitute it back into the second equation. So I have 3x plus 2 times 4 equals 26. 3x plus 8 equals 26. I'm going quickly here because I know that you guys know how to solve equations. and x equals 6. Okay. What I would like you to do now, flip over to the next page. I'm just going to continue numbering here. Step 4 was to solve the equation for the remaining variable. Step 5 is to substitute the value that you found to find the eliminated variable. So flip over to the next page. I want you to pause the video right now and go ahead and try the next two. When you're finished, turn the video back on. Alright, so if you're back, you should have gotten a solution of -3, -4. Your x's are eliminated in this example, and we have -6y equals 24, y equals -4. Substitute it back in to find your x, which is -3. Okay? I'm just going to show you that I substituted it back in, and I got x equals -3. In the next example, in this example, we need to multiply one of the equations by -1. I'm choosing the first one so that my 6y's cancel out. So I have -x minus 6y equals -13, and -2y plus 6y equals -8. Okay, now you have a pair of opposites that are going to cancel. And I am left with -3x equals -21. Solve for x, and I have x equals 7. When you plug it back into the original, either one of the original equations, you should get the solution 7, 1. Okay? All right, moving on to example 3. Example 3, if you look at it, it's a little different. The first equation is in standard form, ax plus by equals c. The second equation is in slope-intercept form. So we need to rearrange that equation. We need to rearrange the second equation. So what I'm going to do to rearrange it, I am going to subtract 6x from both sides. And my new equation is -6x plus y equals -32. Okay, now my equation's in standard form. I'm rewriting my first equation that was already in standard form. And if you look, you have a pair of opposites that will cancel each other out. And I'm left with 8y equals -16. Solve for y. Y equals -2. All the other steps are exactly the same. Take that -2 and plug it into either equation. I'm going to plug it into the first equation, 6x plus 7y equals 16. 6x plus 7 times -2 equals 16. 6x minus 14 equals 16. And I'm going quickly because you guys know how to solve for x. X equals 5. So my solution is 5, -2. All right. Moving right along, you're going to do practice on the next page. The next example, 4x minus 5y equals 5 and 5y equals x plus 10. Please pause the video, do the next two examples, look back on your notes, replay if you need to, and then start the video again. Okay. Quickly, my first equation is in standard form. My second equation, I'm going to subtract x from each side. So I have -x plus 5y equals 10. And you can see that your y's are going to be eliminated. And I have 3x equals 15. I'm solving for x, and I have x equals 5. When I plug that value back into either equation, I find my y, which is -2. So 5, -2 is your solution. Again, if you didn't get that, go back. I'm substituting a 5 in for x. 20 minus 5y equals 5. Negative 5y equals negative 15. Uh-oh, something didn't work out. Okay, I'll come back to that one in a second. Okay. Oh, no, it did work out. Okay, y equals 3. All right, and the last one, the last example, my solution is, oh, I see it. My last example, no, here's what. It's not 5, negative 2. It is 5, 3. I apologize. Okay, 5, 3. All right, and in the final example, your final solution is negative 5, 2. Okay, you need to rearrange the first equation. So I have 2x plus 7y equals 4. I need to multiply one of the equations by negative 1. I'm going to multiply the second one by negative 1. I'm going to multiply the one I just switched around by negative 1. So I have 2x minus 7y equals 4, negative 4. And 2x plus y equals negative 8. And negative 6y equals negative 12. Solving for y equals 2. And when I plug that back in, I find my x, which is negative 5. Okay? So I apologize for the previous example. Again, the solution is 5, 3.